How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Daring, the legendary tier British destroyer. Now, I think the Daring is honestly the best legendary tier destroyer, mainly because it's capable of pretty much doing everything that you want a destroyer to do. It's got pretty good torpedoes, it's got excellent main battery, both AP and HE. It has short burst smokes, sonar, and even a repair party. All of that on top of having 24,400 hit points. Well, in this case, I'm actually using Sims, so we do have a bit more than the base. Although, using Sims, we actually still have a higher HP pool of many of the other legendary tier destroyers, only being beaten out by Kleber, which is at 25,000, and then the Khabarovsk that's somewhere around 27,000. The Daring's detection is also relatively good at 5.4 kilometers, only using Bay as an inspiration. If you wanted to trade out Sims and then go with Swirsky, then your detection would be around 5.2 kilometers. The Daring does have some weaknesses. The main weaknesses of the ship is the fact that the top speed is actually really slow for a destroyer, being at 36 knots. To put this into perspective, this ship has a similar speed to that of the USS Black, which is only at 36 knots. And that's also including the speed boost that you get from having that battle booster flag. So ultimately, this destroyer is very good at knife fighting other destroyers and also trying to contest capture points, although it's not really a good destroyer hunter, mainly because most destroyers are faster than you. So if you decide to go off an adventure trying to chase one, chances are you won't catch up to it, and then it'll just waste a bunch of your time. And then the last thing that I consider a weakness is the fact that the anti-air isn't that great. Although having short burst smokes and the fact that there aren't that many legendary tier carriers yet, it's not that big of an issue. Now, the main thing you'll notice when playing this ship is the fact that the main guns are actually really good. With the reload mod in the 4th slot, it has a reload of 2.5 seconds, and I decided to actually use stand or fall instead of the perceptive skill, mainly because, well, if you lose HP, your reload simply just gets much faster, and ultimately it will allow you to actually out DPM pretty much every single destroyer if you get a big enough boost from that skill. And then also because this is a destroyer that you typically shouldn't be afraid of picking fights with other destroyers. Typically you would start shooting at them, and if they start shooting at you back, simply they will be boosting your reload, and then ultimately you should really win that fight. Now, the commander that I'm using is Gratzmas Smart, one of the Warhammer 40k commanders for the British destroyers, mainly because his Bernie Daka skill, when stacked with Rather Be Torching, you can have a fire chance of 13%. In this game, I am only at, I think, 12%, but ultimately, with the main battery reload, how fast it is, and then the relatively high fire chance for a destroyer, you can actually set quite a bit of fires, especially on battleships. And then also having the short burst smokes, you can smoke up and then farm for 40 seconds, and then you simply reposition closer to the enemy battleship or wherever you really need to be, and then you can either smoke up again or do whatever you need to do, which is actually a really good bonus for British destroyers, having that ability to essentially farm when you need to and then disengage, and really having your smoke available whenever you actually need it. Now that enemy Alaska simply went to hide behind that island in the top right, and then that Yamato also went to the top right corner all the way to the north border, and there's really no reason to try and chase them. Instead, I just decided to go after the objective, and while going for the objective, there's actually battleships that were from the other side. That's just simply reversing away from that flank. And, well, we're going to see just how effective the Daring's HE and also AP at some times can actually be when farming battleships with these main guns. Having these short burst smokes, I can just simply smoke up pretty much whenever I want. I intended to beach a little sooner, although I do go undetected before he starts firing at me, and we do finally set a double fire in his superstructure, and he's not damage conning, so he's either waiting until he gets behind the island, or he actually doesn't have a damage con, although considering that he was full health when we started shooting at him, I think he's just simply waiting until he gets behind the island in order to damage con, which is honestly the smart play for a battleship player, especially if they don't have firefighter, which reduces the amount of fires they have in the superstructure. Now, as soon as he gets behind the island, my smoke is actually running out, so it's time to reposition. This is what I was saying about having the ability to simply reposition and then smoke up when you can actually get into positions where you can continuously farm. And then as soon as I'm able to start shooting at the Yamato again with HE, I just set another instant fire, and I also set another fire on him, so he's pretty much dead at this point because he's on a permanent double fire. And I start using my smoke again because it just came off of cooldown, being able to start farming again undetected. And you can see just farming these two battleships with HE, we just have an insane fire chance. We get our high caliber, and then shortly after we do get our Witherer. Unfortunately, that Yamato does get killed off by another teammate, so we don't actually get our Arsonist medal on him. But if we had actually been able to kill him off, that definitely would have been an Arsonist. With this Marlboro, just reversing broadside, all we're going to do here is just keep shooting him with AP, and ultimately he does go down. And then looking at the map, the entire enemy team is just so out of position. 3 of them are on the border, and the only one that's even relatively near anywhere is the destroyer, which is in front of us. Our team has pretty much only lost 1 ship, and the entire enemy team is just simply dying. Which, unfortunately, having all 4 objectives as well, we're pretty much going to win on points unless I can find this enemy gearing relatively quickly so I can start fighting him. With the daring being so slow, I'm not actually sure I'm going to be able to catch up to smoke and then have him in sonar range before the game ends. 982 points. There's not a whole lot of time left in this game. I finally get within my sonar range, and well, I had AP loaded, and we do get some damage in, although the game just ends as soon as we start shooting at him, which is a bit unfortunate. We were able to do 173,000 damage with a Wither and high caliber, and we were also able to do 2800 base XP, which is pretty good considering the fact that there's still enemy ships alive, and the game ended before we could actually fight the gearing. If we were able to fight and kill off the gearing, perhaps this would have been a 3k base XP game. The next highest score at 1600, the enemy team really just got steamrolled, and there wasn't a whole lot to do because they all just ran to the border and ended up dying without doing anything. Sometimes, well, most of the time, that's pretty much how this game goes, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Going into my build, like I said, I use Mesh Smart. In the first row, I'm using Quick Fix, mainly because in the Legendary skill row, I'm using Rather Be Torching instead of Unstoppable. Quick Fix basically does the same exact thing. Look at me now. Said I was using Stand or Fall, and unfortunately in this game I didn't get shot at a whole lot and lose a bunch of HP, although there is another game that I have recorded where I was left at around 300 HP, which you're getting pretty much the full 20% bonus from that skill, and my reload went down below 2 seconds, so that's some pretty insane DPM. Stacking Bernidaka and Rather Be Torching, you get a pretty high fire chance, and then also Bernidaka cancels out the reduced damage that Rather Be Torching does, while also making you take slightly increased damage, but that's not big of a deal. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, and leave a comment down below for other ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.